we try to make it simple for people to communicate the value that they're providing to the customer so that the customer can, number one, understand, because customers don't buy when they're confused.
And back to your point about communication, it's a two-way street. But I bet first and foremost, and I bet you in that case too, you did what in the beginning? You listened, right? I mean, honestly, it might I say, well, what's the issue, right? Is the first question, but then you just zip your mouth and listen. And I did want to come back to that because, again, that video, we'll post it too here. But, in that, you talk about going, becoming craftsman and demanding more for your price, because you're adding value.
You're worth it.
You're worth it, right? I mean, you're worth it. And even that conversation, like, okay, monitoring, you're there. You might be there for something completely different. In the world of IAQ, that's what we're trying. We're imploring on our contractors. Listen, you're there anyway for whatever the call might be. Go ahead and air sample. You got an air sampler, great. At least get your hygrometer out, or check, and then you take it the next step. And this is part of being that professional, right? You're looking at the entire system. The HVAC system is one component, as you said, of the entire house, right? As a whole.
Right. The whole house is a system. That's correct.
By becoming a craftsman, you make yourself more of a professional. You can engage in those conversations. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but what does NCI actually help contractors out in communication and taking what they know and help communicate that in a way a homeowner understands?
Excuse me while I get off the screen for a second.
Yeah. It's going to be good. I know. I'll wait. I know it's going to be good.
Yeah. So we got so many different things that are really just kind of simple. Like, I don't know, little simple trifold brochures that says, why is proper airflow important? Protect your whole family with low-level carbon monoxide monitors. Why should I demand a CO test? What the heck's that all about? Why is air balancing important? Every one of these, when you open them up, has all kind of nice little pictures, and we try to do consumer focused descriptions of what's going on. And here's one that's kind of really interesting. And this goes back to the airflow discussion. So this one is static pressure. Why is it important? And one of the things that we do, I know this is kind of hard to see, but you got,
we got it. Blood pressure,
right?
Yep.
You got blood pressure. Well, one of the things we've done is we've translated static pressure to a typical blood pressure chart, right? So when a customer is sitting there looking at it, they're saying, okay, well, everybody understands 120/80, right? In terms of blood pressure. They say 120/80, that's a good number. Well, if you got a fan that's designed to operate at a 1/2 inch static pressure, well, that's 120/80. That's the equivalent of 120/80. And we talk about things like, would you imagine? I mean, think about this, Rod. So say you went to your doctor's office, and your doctor, it's a real busy day and the whole place is packed. There's standing room only in the waiting room. And everybody's coughing and hacking and all that. And let's try to pretend it's not COVID. Let's just say it's the flu, right? So everybody's in there, they're all sick, and the doctor opens the door and he looks in, he says, man, you guys are really, really, really sick out there. And he starts just grabbing bottles and he starts saying, Rob, catch, take that. I'll see you tomorrow, or see you next week, or I'll see you in a month. Let me know how it goes, right? I expect every time I go to my doctor's office, after they start testing right away. The minute you walked in the door, they test you to know, number one, do you know who you are? Because you got to sign in. Do you know what time it is? Because you got to look at your clock or their clock. Do you know who you're here to see? Right? Which doctor you're here to see? And let me see your ID to make sure I know who you are, and make sure I got your insurance card on file, and show me your Visa card. It's going to cover your deductible, right? Or whatever. Right?
Exactly.
So they're already testing you before you even get down. Then they test your patients sitting in the waiting room.
Right.
And then
which might throw the blood pressure off.
Exactly. And then what do they do immediately? They get you behind the door, and what do they check? Your static pressure.
Yes.
Right? Blood pressure, weight, temperature, sometimes height, sometimes respiration rate, right? They're measuring what?
Your
vitals.
Signs. Yeah, your vitals.
They're vital signs. Is static pressure a vital sign for a ducted HVAC system?
I hope people would say Yeah.
but they don't, right? But they don't. So you would not go to a doctor's office that
Right.
just threw you a bottle of pills and said, go,
Right.
here's the latest bottle of pills. Well, the latest, with all due respect, the latest IAQ product that's not applied properly is just a bottle of pills, right? We
Right.
have to understand the interactions between the structure, to your point, right? We always say it this way: you cannot control what you cannot contain, right? So if I've got a container, sometimes called a house, that has windows wide open, what good is my furnace going to be? What good is my air? What good is my IQ product going to be? None
Right.
of that's going to work, right? What I mean, it's got great ventilation, but it's not controlled, right? I'm not
Right.
controlling it. My ERV should be doing that, or my HRV should be doing that, not Mother Nature. We want to control
Yeah.
the environment so that
Yeah.
we can have
Yeah.
the safest, healthiest, most comfortable, and efficient.
And guess what? You bring up, we teach this all the time in the world of IAQ, you have to make the invisible visible. And you just did that in the carbon monoxide example, correct? Right. And unless you don't see it, most people don't see anything. They're not thinking about it. And there's been, yeah, I have been getting headaches, or I have been blowing my nose a lot. Well, there's probably a reason. And guess what?
There's
We can help you
definitely
out
a
with that.
reason.
Right.
Yeah, there's
And
definitely a reason. We just need to figure out what the source of the problem
yeah.
is.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys have videos as well to help contractors through visual means to help them with those conversations, correct?
Yeah, we've got a variety of online training programs, webinars, and so forth that we've recorded over the years that are all available. Unfortunately, to my thinking, sometimes, unfortunately, they're only available to members of HVAC of NCI. So we have a membership program where we provide advanced support to contractors, which includes things like these flyers and brochures and things like that that they can actually download. We've got them in a flat, not just a folded type situation. We've got a variety of formats to make it easy for people to incorporate them on their websites, to put them as part of their sales presentations. We try to make it simple for people to communicate the value that they're providing to the customer, so that the customer can, number one, understand, because customers don't buy when they're confused. And when you use words that they don't understand, like
Yeah.
when we say sear, we know what we're
Yeah.
talking about. When we say sear to the customer, they're thinking about grill marks on their steak, right? It's two different sears.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
understand it. When we say 3-ton, we know what we're talking about. When we say 3-ton to the consumer, they think, how are they going to put a $6,000 or 6,000-pound piece of equipment next to my house? 3 tons? Are you freaking kidding me? That thing's got to be
Yeah.
huge,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
it doesn't connect. It's not the same
Yeah.
words. They don't work. And when we use those types of terms to communicate to the customer, guess what that smile on that customer's face looks like? It goes sour real quick. They're like, I don't think I understand what you're saying. And when you say, do you have any questions? They're like, I don't even know where to start. Because I
Yeah.
do not understand anything you just said except
Yeah.
your price, and it's too high, because I don't understand why I should make that kind of investment. Buck over here said my duct system looks just fine, and he's $3,500. I'm using Buck.
Yeah. No, you're that point well taken, because I think the most successful contractors do put they look at the language, they look at the terminology, and have to put it and translate it in terms that the average homeowner will understand. In fact, I show a video sometimes in some of our training. You ever see one of the old guys in a lab coat? He's got this look like a jet engine behind him. He starts talking about flux capacitors, and he makes up all these gibberish. It's like you're like, what the heck is he talking? Well, he's making everything up. And it's the same with a homeowner, right? Unless you put it in terms that makes sense to them, you
You're
won't.
not communicating.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting statement that is absolutely true, and I forget who actually was first quoted as saying this, but I use it all the time in interpersonal communication situations. I say the illusion of communication is that it actually occurred. I've been married for 38 years, and I've said something and she heard something else, or she said something and I heard something else. And so the illusion of communication is that it actually occurred. It is a real thing, right? So which is why
Oh.
we've got to simplify stuff, right? We got to
Yep.
make it where it's not a question. Like when I do a cubic foot, I mean, I draw the cubic
Yeah.
foot
Yeah.
every time, And I can't say cubic foot without doing it. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
like, it's just a part of what I always have done to try to make things simple for the consumer, because we make an assumption that they actually even
Yeah.
understand that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's like, how many
Absolutely.
boxes, I call this is a cubic
Yeah.
foot. So it's like a box of air. How many boxes of air do we have in this room right now that we're having to breathe in? And they're like, wow, I never thought about it like that. I said, I understand. I have to think about it like that because my job is to condition and keep clean and healthy all of these boxes of air in your space. Isn't
Yeah.
that what you're looking for in a contractor? And they're like, I never thought about it like that. I thought I just needed somebody to replace that box on the side of my house. Nah, you could get those guys. There are plenty of those guys out there. That's fine. And that actually, it's an interesting
Yeah.
issue because
Yeah.
we had a reputation at Holt Service Company before Dad sold the business. We had a reputation that went something like this. You may not like what they have to say. That was the financial part,
Mm-hmm.
but they're right and they can fix it.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
a testimonial that I'm just going to go off camera again for a second.
You're good.
All kind of tools over here on the other side. I should have put them closer. I got a testimonial from a customer of ours back in the day. This is my old iPad, right? So yeah, the old flip book, right? So
Yep,
this
love
is
it.
a testimonial page right here.
Love
And in
it.
the testimonial page, it says here, for over 20 years, my family has lived with a dust problem in our home. Now, I'll just stop right there. Is that an IAQ issue?
A little bit.
We have called on others to look into the problem, but their attempts have been unsuccessful. I can finally say that thanks to your company, we are now free of the situation. Dot and I are now breathing cleaner, healthier air, and our furniture doesn't need to be dusted every day. Now, what equipment did we put in? What brand? He didn't say, oh, you know, that really nice Carrier 38 TRA 036 you put in is killing it. He didn't say that. What he said is, I had a dust problem that I've been living with for over 20 years. We've been sucking this crap in for 20 years. We called on everybody in the market to solve this problem except you because we thought you were too expensive. That's really what it came down to.
Isn't that something?
And then when they finally said, you know, we're tired of dealing with this, we've tried all these other Band-Aid fixes. These Band-Aid fixes have not resolved our issue. Maybe we should call in the professionals.
There
They
you
called
go.
us in. They responded actually to a direct mailer that we sent out to the neighborhood because we knew there were a lot of dusty homes in the houses. Guess why? We already fixed a bunch of them, right? We already
Yeah.
resolved those kind of issues. So we said, you know, we know how to fix them. If you want it fixed, give us a call. They gave us a call. We fixed it. A contractor in the area lost a maintenance agreement because of that. Also lost a replacement opportunity because of that, because they weren't able to resolve the issues. We resolved the issues, and amazingly enough, the V actually did it. We actually slightly pressurized the house by inducing a little air into the return to give a positive pressure on the house. And all of a sudden, this leaky ass house that they didn't want to seal up, not my fault, theirs. I said, it's going to cost you a little bit of energy, but I'll get the dust out of here. Well, we put a little extra pressure on the house by just inserting a little ventilation run through the return system. And guess what? We reversed the flow of the dust.
I absolutely love that story. I absolutely love that story. And back to your point about communication, it's, you know, it's a two-way street, but I bet first and foremost and I bet you in that case too, you did what in the beginning? You listened, right? I mean, honestly, it might I say, well, what's the issue, right? Is the first question, but then you just zip your mouth and listen, correct? I mean, isn't that in all those years of marriage, what'd you do? You listen.
But when you started listening,
you better learn how anyway.
Yeah, when you start listening,
that you can get better. You can get better at that skill too, right?
We all have to, right?
Yeah.
We all have to. I had to do a reset this morning with my wife. I said, I think we had a little of this going on. That's what I usually do. We had a little of this going on. And she says, huh? I said, I don't know. I just didn't feel good about that conversation. I said, come on, we need to do a reset. So I gave her a big hug. I said, if I said anything that caused you to think I was not going to do what you were asking, I want to let you know that I heard you. Okay.
There you go.
I am going to take care of that. And I will
Hey,
be there this afternoon.
and
to
apparently
relieve
she's a raving fan. She's
she is someone worth keeping a smile on her face. Let's just put it that way. Put
David,
up
this
with me.
has been fun
Yeah, man.
conversation. We'll put your video up on our link as well, but just verbally here, tell us how folks can get a hold of you or want to learn more about NCI. Where can they go?
Absolutely. So NCI is nationalcomfortinstitute.com. For those of you who are professionals within this industry, just go ahead and put /pro on it. So nationalcomfortinstitute.com/pro. That's going to take you right into our professional division side. There's actually a couple of different things there that you'll definitely want to look at. We actually have a conference, and I wish we were talking about this like about 2 months ago, because it's actually the end of this month. We're in March right now, 2022. In Scottsdale, Arizona, we've got what we call the High Performance HVAC Summit coming up. It's going to be the last week in March. Actually, there's still seats available if people are hearing this now, but you can always go to summit.com. So that's GOTOSUMMIT.com. We keep that up year round. So next year's event, which is going to be in Branson, Missouri, will be about this time of year again. We do it in the spring. That's a great place to get together with like-minded contractors, wholesalers, manufacturers, consultants who get together and just talk about how this high performance HVAC approach comes to life. Basically, you get to see a whole lot of people that have a lot of experience doing this, in some cases a lot more than I've got. And a lot of most of the NCI instructors are there. We teach a lot of workshops. We're doing like 18 workshops during this conference, and it's all NCI people, the instructors that are teaching them. I got 3 of them myself to do. But that's one way. The telephone number is 800-633-7058. That gets you to the office. And I'm one of these guys who loves to hear from people direct. So I'm going to give my cell phone number. I am not afraid.
Ooh.
Just do not call me after 10 o'clock Eastern time, or you will get voicemail, and I will call you back tomorrow. So that's 706-332-2212. That's voice or text. I will answer you if it's the first time you've called or the first time you're texting. Tell me who you are, so I know what I'm getting myself into. That'd be a good thing, because you won't be on my contact list yet. But once you call me or text me, I promise you'll be in my contact list, and I'll know who you are from that point forward. So happy to talk to you there. And also email is David H at NCI, National Comfort Institute, NCIHVAC.com. So lots of ways to get in touch with me. Happy to have conversations. I love it when people actually do reach out, because I got lots of books over here that I've read, and some of them that I've written, and things that I think that you may have a question about. I may just say, oh yeah, here's how we did it. Click, we're done. Next. Some of it's real simple. And sometimes the things that drive you craziest in this business are things that other people have also been driven crazy, in the same situation. And we've experienced now through the years. I mean, realistically, I'm 63 years old. Realistically, I was born in the trade. My grandfather was in the business. I didn't really get actively involved with it until my software company back in the 80s. So that's still 40 years. So, I mean,
nice.
a long time.
There you have it. Nobody has to reinvent the wheel, right, David? So you just get a hold of you.
Well,
that wheel's been around a long time.
Well, I mean, between the two of us, we probably got about, I don't know, 70, 80 years in.
And the wheel's still on the axle, most importantly. So
somehow.
David, thanks for your time. I appreciate the visit, the conversation. I look forward to doing this again with you, hopefully soon.
Love to do it.
Thank you.